Hello, my name is Timothy Hatchell, and I will be presenting about the pathophysiology of laminitis in horses and other ungulates. And ungulates is just another term for hoofed animals. Here is my ID card. So, what is laminitis? Laminitis is a debilitating disease in horses, which is characterized by the inflammation of laminae hair fibers in the horse's foot. These laminae hair fibers are essential for skeletal and muscular stability in the foot. The inflammation of these laminae causes a triangular bone, which is called the coffin bone, in the horse's foot to rotate down into the actual hoof, causing severe pain and retiring many horses. So it's a very interesting disease to look at, and we're going to be looking at the pathophysiological implications and pathways for how this occurs. So right below, you can see that diagram. It shows that triangular bone, the P3 or third phalanx bone, also called the coffin bone. And this is the bone that will be affected when laminitis occurs. So how does a horse get laminitis or is diagnosed with laminitis? So PPID, is very similar to Cushing's disease. It's a neurodegenerative endocrine disease. PPID stands for pituitary pars intermedia dysfunction. And what's really interesting is that a horse pituitary gland is different than a human pituitary gland. The horse's pituitary gland has three subsections, and the humans has two. We have the anterior and posterior. Horses have the pars distalis, pars intermedia, and the pars tuberales in that order, respectively. And what happens is dopamine receptors in the pars intermedia are not working properly. So dopamine cannot be received by the pars intermedia. So this causes lots of hormones to be produced, and one of these hormones is ACTH. So ACTH stands for adrenocorticotropic hormone. This triggers a response into cortisol. The increased concentration of cortisol triggers elevated adipocytes, which are fat cells, which elevates leptin. And leptin, in increasing amounts, causes equine metabolic syndrome. And equine metabolic syndrome is a whole host of symptoms and characterizations that we'll look at now. So equine metabolic syndrome causes hyperinsulinemia. So insulin rises in blood vessels from insulin resistance. So there's going to be high blood concentration of insulin since the receptors are not taking that insulin. So it's going to be piling up, and it's going to be piling up in the blood. The increase in insulin in the blood is going to cause problems with lamellar cells, which causes laminitis. So that is one pathway where it will inflammate the laminae hairs. Is there another PPID pathophysiological pathway of laminitis? Unfortunately, yes. So this is the problem with PPID. So it causes EMS, which is pretty much the hallmark cause of laminitis, but PPID can also cause laminitis in a different way. So there's an increase in ACTH, and there's an increase in cortisol from the increase in hormones from the pituitary gland. But what also happens is hyperglycemia can occur. Hyperglycemia occurs from cortisol production, which causes an increase in matrix melanoproteinases, which cause damage to laminar cells, which also cause laminitis. These proteins are dangerous to the laminae and cause deterioration of them. So this is kind of the problem with laminitis, because there's so many different uh, ways that these laminate hair cells and these fibers can be inflammatory. Um, so, how treatments help horses and ungulates with laminitis? So, low sugar and starch diets are great with obesity. It lowers the adipose tissue and regulates insulin resistance. Um, keeps hormones balanced, like leptin, and it keeps older horses in better conditions in general. Drugs for laminitis are pretty controversial. One is bute, one is morphine, and more research needs to be done because they're pretty controversial. And right here are my references. I really hope that you enjoyed my presentation. Thanks.